Hello everyone, welcome back to OpenLine. Happy to have with us Tim Takis talking about really planning for the future. How do you care for a loved one as they get older? What plans do you need to put in place to make sure that they can afford a nursing home or afford long-term care? Tim Takis with us, elder law attorney. Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Bob. Hello, Bob.
Oh, hello. It's kind of on the subject. It's like the life and burial insurances, stuff like that. I checked into it. $150,000. That's really too rich. But I've been checking into it as far as 10 to 25,000. But they cut off at 60.
Okay.
And, you know, so it's becoming very problematic. You know, they only get $250 for burial, and I don't see anybody being able to deal with that.
Well, let's talk about that burial insurance. All right, first of all, what is that? And he's throwing out some numbers there about cost. What are we talking about there?
I think that what Bob's talking about is, and you may have seen, like, you watch, some of those programs where they run a 1-800 number and call now and say, call and you can get $100,000 of life insurance with no questions asked.
Right.
Then you look at it. It says limited benefits for the first 2 years, which basically means, if something, if you die within 2 years, they give you, they refund your, the estate, the premiums, those sorts of things. So, so when I think about funeral insurance or burial insurance, we want to first of all we're talking about the right thing, because when I think about that, I think about funeral insurance as a product that that has cash value. In other words, if a funeral costs $12,000, then you go to an insurance company and say, I want to make sure that my funeral costs are paid.
Right.
And here's $12,000, like a single premium life insurance policy. Well, why would anybody want to do that? Well, one is that if you need nursing home care at some point, or maybe you are facing nursing home care, that $12,000 or whatever you put into that policy, might be a spend down item. So otherwise, because if you run out of money, and then you die in the nursing home, then who's going to bury you? Maybe your kids. So that's one thing. The second thing would be but that has cash value.
Right.
And if you decide to put $12,000 in a life insurance policy, and move from Nashville to Los Angeles or somewhere, you can take the policy with you.
Right.
Whereas I think maybe what Bob's talking about is a term policy, which basically has no cash value. That's the one where I see, limited benefits for the first 2 years type thing. And most of those tend to run around 20, maybe from what I recall, like maybe 25,000 or whatever.
Right.
And I don't really know what the premiums are. I guess if you're really feeling unlucky.
Right.
I mean, I don't know that I've ever had a client that actually has bought that product.
Okay.
It's something that I'm not so sure. I don't know if it's a good deal or not.
Right. And as far as, do you have clients that do want to put in the cost of a funeral? Mm-hmm. Is that something that it is? Because you're talking about elder law, planning for, nursing home care, that kind of thing. What about, insurance, funeral insurance?
And that's the kind of thing where, if you really want to set money aside and you got the money, you say, okay, I'm going to put this into this life insurance policy, which, it's what's called an irrevocable policy, which means that it can't count as a resource to you. So in other words, you can't get the money back. Because otherwise, if you can get it back, then maybe you have to spend it on your care. But that's the downside of it too, because we have people that walk into our office and go, and they're healthy or reasonably healthy seniors, and they go, well, maybe I should spend money on a funeral home. Buy a funeral contract. And I go, well, are you going to die soon? Well, no. It's like, well, I've heard that's a prudent thing to do. It's like,
right.
Well, sometimes I say, I have a colleague, I've told this story before, a colleague that says, well, he calls it the stinking dead body phenomena. Do you see them around? People who can't get buried and they're all laying around, that just does not happen.
Right.
So we often say you got that money, spend it on your care. When you die, someone's going to bury you.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself
right.
while you're alive.
Right.
Yeah.
Take care of yourself and your dependents, you know, and then, you know, when you die, you know, whatever you have left, you know, we're gonna see to it, you know, that you're taken care of.
All right, let's go to Bobby now. Bobby, hello.
Hello.
Hi, go right ahead, Bobby.
Hey, man. I was gonna. You got a lawyer in there, don't you?
Right.
All right. I wanted to give him money's worth here while I had one on TV.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
Just remember, you get what you pay for, Bobby.
Yeah. Last lawyer I used, I spent 15 grand on it. He sent me to the pen.
All right. Oh, no.
Anyway, I was going to ask a question about life insurance.
You still with us?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, I had a question about life insurance.
Okay, go ahead.
What?
Why don't we? Okay, go ahead.
I don't know how
Bobby.
to articulate this. What's the earliest a person can die post life insurance sign up?
Oh, okay.
All right, so yeah, you buy life insurance. Okay, you understand that question? Okay.
Yeah, it's like, okay, I'm going to buy this life insurance policy today, you know, and then 3 days from now I drop dead. So are they going to pay? Well, the answer is, here's the lawyer's answer is, it depends. Because it really depends on the terms of the policy. Is the policy, was it underwritten, which basically means, you know, you go to you know, not just anybody can buy a typical life insurance policy. You have to do they do some medical tests, they do some screening, they ask you questions, you know, they check with your doctors and whatever else. And if they're not real happy with maybe your answers, they'll either decline coverage, or they might like say, well, we're going to put a clause in here that, you know, that we're not going to pay anything out for you, you know, if you die within a certain period.
Right.
You know, so, but you could be like, oh, great, I'm in great shape, everything else, you know, and then, you know, nobody knew that you were born, you know, you didn't know that you were born with a heart condition, and you got life insurance, you know, and you know, 3 weeks later you drop dead. Now, the life insurance policy company is going to go, they're going to do some snooping around.
Yeah,
probably.
they're going to look into that.
You know, but at some point, if they don't have grounds for, not paying out benefits, they're going to write a check to your beneficiary.
Interesting. Okay,
Yeah.
that's, Bobby, a different question.
It is.
But thank you. Let's go to Tina. Hello, Tina.
Yes.
Go right ahead.
I was wanting to know if the VA will provide any benefits for a 90-year-old widow of a veteran going into the assisted living.
Very good question. I know from talking to you, there are a lot of people who miss out on benefits
For veterans,
Yeah.
U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. So
To
when we
which
talk
they're
about
entitled.
VA, they're entitled to benefits, and so that's one of those things where, you know, it's what's called the VA pension. You know, and don't misconstrue what pension means for the VA. The VA doesn't mean by pension, you know, something that, you know, that when you worked, you know, you earned, you know, it's the VA pension is a means-tested benefit. And what that means in our world is that you have to have a minimal amount of assets in order to qualify. So they have a net worth test, and it applies to spouses. So, you know, if you know, maybe you don't have much money, but your spouse has the money. Well, the VA is going to, you know, and you're the veteran, the VA is going to count both of y'all's money together as a married couple, you know, in determining that net worth test. And they're also going to look at your monthly expenses. Are you paying out for care? You know, and if you are paying out for care and you meet the medical criteria that the VA requires to pay out benefits, it's very likely that 90-year-old widow is going to be able to qualify. Because it sounds like she's a widow of a veteran, I think is what I heard her say.
Right.
You know, and so she can qualify.
And
You know, she meets those other criteria.
She could have gone years without qualifying. And then
Or maybe she didn't know that she could qualify, or maybe she didn't need any help from the VA.
Right. But she could go
but
years
now that
without
she's
claiming it.
Right.
And then just step
And
up
find
and
out
go.
and step up and say, yeah, I qualify.
And could she get back pay if she went years without claiming something that she was entitled to?
Yeah.
How,
I haven't seen that. No,
You don't see that.
No,
right?
because you have to file your claim. Yeah, and if you don't file a claim, then the VA isn't going to say, well, we're so sorry you didn't know. We're going to pay you for 2 years.
The best way for somebody, here we have a 90-year-old woman who has this, what's the best way for her to find out?
Well, certainly, they certainly can call our office and, come in for a consult. They can also talk to a veteran service officer. We call them the VSO. Every county, including Davidson County and the surrounding counties, has a veteran service officer. The key thing to remember about the VSOs, some of them are better than others. Some of them will tell you, oh, you don't meet the criteria, now go away, but they don't really are going to tell you how to change your affairs so that you do. Sometimes it's easy to change your affairs and within entirely legal, meet the legal requirements to do so. So it's a good thing maybe to go get information from the VSOs, but
absolutely. Yeah, Tina, thank you for calling in, and I hope you can get that information, because I bet that would be very
Because it sounds
helpful.
like if maybe the widow qualifies right away. Maybe she already meets the assets test. Maybe since she's paying for care already. Maybe a simple call or a visit to the VSO, and they say, yeah, we'll file the claim.
All right, we're going to take a break. If you want to call, there is the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.